We are live here on the Clickpot podcast. Justin is back. He missed us.
Back.
He was you were spending last night with Barack Obama, I believe. Was that it? I think
I
Tucker
was
Carlson
busy,
talked
dude. I
about
was busy. I'm fighting the good fight out there, dude. Look.
it. You're Larry Sinclair, right? Oh, they gave you a shirt finally.
Oh, dude, I've been rocking this, dude. Look how cool it looks, bro.
How many days did it take for them to give you a shirt?
I've had
Covering?
one. I just haven't worn it, dude.
Justin, by the way, for those who don't know, he's been out covering during the day the SAG strikes.
Yeah.
He's a loyal soldier. So why didn't you wear it the whole time? I feel like they would have been more receptive if you were wearing that SAG strike shirt.
I've been wearing it, dude. Just not on the pod, bro. But I've been wearing it every day,
okay.
dude.
All right, smart, very smart.
Yeah,
very
I got
good
different
thinking.
colors. I got a white one. I got a black one. This is a really soft one, dude. It's really awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get right into it. We got a lot of news to cover. First of all, I thought that this Loch Ness monster thing yielded absolutely nothing except for a few weird noises. Turns out some people actually got some photographs.
Yeah. I mean,
here, look at this. I mean, that's clearly the Loch Ness monster. It's not a.
to be fair, it's a better photo than the one we've had throughout all these years.
Could have been an otter, could have been a seal, could have been a black garbage bag, but they had this one, and they had a few other people took some photographs. Let's see here. Let me actually blow this up first so people can take a look at it. That was something seen in the distance. That was something seen on an infrared or like a night vision way off in the distance. I'm a little disappointed still because they made such a big deal about how they're going to have drones and they're going to have technology we've never had before to see the Loch Ness monster. Like, how about an underwater drone? I don't know, something. Still, this is the best photo, but we're still getting stuff like that. I mean, what the hell is that?
I can't figure it out. And not only that, I mean, you know as well as I do. I mean, some of these paparazzi have cameras that are better than this. I mean, they have cameras that have like incredible long lenses and the quality is insane. So we should have better video and images than we have right now. I agree with you. For the amount of like effort and money and time and energy that's been put into this, what we have it's garbage, my friend, as they say.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. Like you said, the Paps have long lenses. Honestly, I'm surprised that an agency didn't send a camera guy out there to try to take some pictures of this stuff. Remember, like years ago, this wasn't a good thing, but they used ultra long telescopic lenses to get pictures of Kate Middleton while she was sunbathing topless with Prince William, like years ago. Absolutely horrible violation of privacy. Okay, but I don't mind violating the Loch Ness monster's privacy if we can get a clear image of it finally.
It's for the sake of mankind here. We're trying to find out what's going on the planet, dude.
The topless Loch Ness monster.
Yeah, and bottomless too.
And fully nude Loch Ness monster exclusive.
Loch Ness OnlyFans.
Yeah. Loch Ness. All right.
Hey, whoa.
Oh.
Hey, I was hoping it was a female Loch Ness, dude. Like Nessie sounds like a female to me, bro. I don't know where you're going with it.
That's true.
But we all have our own things. We all have our own likes. It's okay.
Don't assume what the Loch Ness monster is, okay?
I assume it's gender.
This girl says, we had lunch in the Doors Inn and started walking around. I was just taking pictures with my Canon camera of Scott and my daughter Elisa, who was then 5. Moving right to this left at a steady speed was this creature who was spinning and rolling at times. We never saw a head or neck.
Yeah.
After a couple minutes, it disappeared and we never saw it again. So
go back. Look at her camera. Look at the lens on there. That's what, a 1740 lens? You're not going to get anywhere with that. That's a 1740 lens. She's not going to be able to zoom in on that. There's no zoom on that.
I mean, this looks like some kind of reptile.
I mean, it's
even like it could just be a giant eel. This whole time, the Loch Ness monster has lost in the internet age, and especially like in the last decade or so, when all of this unprecedented stuff has happened in our lives.
Yeah,
I start to feel like the Loch Ness monster is a bit of an old school, like, oh, there's a monster out there in the loch type of thing. You know, it's probably an eel or some kind of like water reptile. And even if it is something we haven't discovered, I guess it's kind of cool, but big deal.
I mean, they should have had a boat out there with a net.
Yeah, where are the boats? Like, how about just putting a boat there? It's how big can the loch be? Just keep
and
a boat
have a
out
sonar. I've seen it before. I've been deep sea fishing where the boat like shoots the sonar down. You can see the fish. You can see sharks. You can see what they look like. You have an outline of them. Like I don't understand why they don't have that. Wasn't a thing. Like this was poorly put together. Whoever organized this, D-, my friend.
And like this, where this film crew captured what they believe was the Loch Ness monster on the lake's shore. How about you put some of those wildlife cameras on the lake shore then, and just like position them all over the loch? Part of me thinks that the people who run Loch Ness, the tourism industry doesn't really want clear photos, because if it comes out that, hey, it was just an otter this whole time, then there goes their entire tourism industry. So they probably don't even want them to actually discover anything.
Yeah, I think you're right. They're like doing a little bit of like sort of they're creating a barrier there to, they're adding to the air of mystery, so to speak, so that the answer does not come. I wonder how much money that they make in the town of whatever this is, Loch Ness. What's the town? Well, the Loch's the name of the lake. So I wonder how much they make in the town there. How much tourism dollars do they get?
Yeah. I mean, it's way more than any other loch out there in Scotland. I'm sure of that. It's the most
famous of lochs of all the lochs. It's the most famous loch.
Exactly. There should be no other lochs. Everyone else, it should just be this one. But I don't know. It was underwhelming. If this was the biggest search in 90 years, it was underwhelming. I'm sorry to everybody involved, but you blew it.
There's a word that describes all this, and it goes like this. Womp, womp, womp.
Exactly. All right. So now let's talk about this guy from the Proud Boys. Got 17 years in jail today. Second longest sentence handed out. The longest was 18 years for a guy who was the head of some other, paramilitary organization that was at the Capitol. The man was in tears when they handed down the sentence. He claims his name is Joe Biggs. Apparently he was kind of like a right-wing influencer as well. He worked for InfoWars for a little while. He was crying, saying, look, I want to be able to take my daughter to school. That's not happening anymore.
No.
I want to be with my sick mother. I need to comfort her. I feel bad for him on a human level. Obviously, all those lonely nights in a prison cell, thinking about his sick mom and thinking about his daughter and all the moments of her life he's going to miss. But you know what? Like, I'm sorry to say for any Trump supporters, but voting for him and supporting his policies is one thing. Actually taking action on behalf of Trump, never a good idea. He always leaves people in the lurch. Giuliani is being left in the lurch with legal bills that he can't pay. The guy who was part of Blacks for Trump, who was one of the 19 Georgia indictees, if that's a word, he's still sitting in prison because he can't afford the $40,000 that it would pay to get a lawyer to help him out. All these people are just going to be left hanging out to dry. We've already seen it with the Capitol rioters. Many of them got prison sentences, of varying lengths and degrees. It's just like, I'm sorry, but Trump ain't going to save you.
Well, not right now.
Do you think that he would pardon these people if he got reelected?
I think that if he gets reelected, there's going to be a push for some information to come out of January 6th that is being suppressed. There's some evidence right now that he was asked to point blank and did not want to respond and got away from the question. But there was a question asked about whether or not they had federal agents posing as Trump supporters to rile up the crowds. And they would not comment on that. So that right off the bat, like, when they say your silence answers everything. The fact that it's coming out now that there was federal agents posing as Trumpsters that were inciting violence. They were sort of saying, come on, guys, let's do this, and riling up the crowd. If Trump gets into office, and as of right now, the DOJ is covering all that up. We know that it probably, there's a lot of evidence that happened. We don't know for sure, but there's some evidence showing that happened. If Trump gets elected again, and he's able to sort of clean up the DOJ and kind of weed out anybody who is a bad actor there. If some information is released from the DOJ that proves the fact that they had federal agents riling up the crowd, this Trump may be able to use that as leverage to get some of these people get their sentence, revoked. They might be able to get out of jail early. It's possible. I'm not saying I agree with overthrowing the government, and I'm not saying I agree with violence, and I'm not saying I agree with what this person, everything that he did. I'm just saying that if that's the case, if we find out that our own government had bad actors posing as Trumpsters to create a negative effect from the crowd, therein lies some evidence for a lawyer to kind of use for leverage for a lighter set to revoke the sentence. So it's possible. I'm just saying that this is not all written in stone, is what I'm saying.
That's true, but what I think is, Trump's going to get in. He's facing, let's say best case scenario, Trump gets reelected.
Right.
He's got 4 indictments of his own to deal with to try to get himself out of. He's going to be having a constitutional crisis all of his own, trying to pardon himself. And in Georgia, especially, he can't pardon himself out of it. So I think he'll be so busy fighting his own charges, he may not have time, or he may not have the bandwidth to do anything about these people. It'll probably be a thing of like, listen, Mr. President, you're gonna have to get yourself out of it, or you're gonna have to choose to get the rioters out of it. You may not be able to get both done. It's also going to depend on, does he have a majority in Congress? Do the Republicans have a majority if he wins, or is just he gonna win? And then the Democrats will still, there's so many variables that could mess this thing up. I wouldn't hold my breath.
No, I know, I think what you need to understand though is that in the process of Trump fighting his battle about January 6th, they're related to these people. There's evidence and there's information that's definitely being suppressed that we're not knowing about. There's a lot of information and evidence that has not come to light, and so in the course of Trump bringing that evidence and that information to light to fight his own battle, that evidence, the byproduct of that might be evidence that's going to help these other people. That's what I'm saying.
Could be, although it would be really unprecedented to overturn.
If you go to a rally, and you're at the rally and you're sort of, fighting for whatever it is you want to fight, but there's no violence. And someone is in the crowd and they go, hey guys, there's a car over here. We can light it on fire. So you're in the crowd and you join the crowd, and the crowd gets going, and then the car gets lit on fire, and then you get caught and you go to jail for arson. And then you find out later on that the person that showed up out of nowhere and wanted to talk the crowd into lighting the car on fire was a federal agent. That absolutely is information that a lawyer, like your defense lawyer, would want to grab a hold of and use and say, look, and it absolutely could help your case to get you out of jail. So it's a similar situation. Again, I'm not saying this because I agree with overturning the election or anything like that, or violence or that. I'm just saying that there's definitely, like, if we find out for sure concrete evidence that there is federal agents hired specifically to cause violence or to get the crowd to do things they wouldn't normally have done, and they can convince people of that, or we find evidence that it did happen, that could have an effect. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what this guy's excuse was, that he was seduced by the crowd and he got worked up too much, and but I also hate his reasoning. He said, I wanted to see what would happen. My curiosity got the best of me. Like, dude, you're at the Capitol building. Yeah. You should know there were plenty of moments to say, look, we're out here, we're rioting, but like, maybe we shouldn't go in. And part of the reason that his sentence was so high is they were able to hit him with terrorism charges because he ripped down a barrier fence between Capitol Police and protesters. And so, he's on camera.
Yeah.
You're it's like it's not just like your classic rally. They weren't rioting in the downtown of a major city or something. You're at the Capitol, and then you're inside. He has photographs inside the Capitol, taking selfies in the building.
Right, but when they got inside the Capitol, that's another question that has to be answered. Did they break a lock? Did they climb through a window? Did they smash a door open, or were they let in?
I mean, that is true. There is some evidence that they were let in by Capitol Police or by security or whatever.
I mean,
but still, like you got to be smart enough to know I shouldn't go in there.
No, that I get. I mean, there is some odd when you first look at the story. It's like when you first heard the story, it's like on the surface, it just seems like a bunch of like very right-wing, crazy Trumpsters that just wanted to overturn the government, and they were going to go to the Capitol and they were going to like fight and do that.
Yeah.
And then when you start like kind of analyzing, and you were told there was people that were murdered on there, but then when you start actually analyzing the story, there's some weird elements to it that didn't kind of come to the surface in the beginning. You start finding out that like Capitol Police were opening the doors, walking them into places. There was things that should have been barricaded. You find out later on that there was some people that were asking for like support and additional reinforcements, and they were not granted. So they were almost kind of on purpose, sort of like understaffed to create this. It's just there's some elements to this that just don't add up, and so we'll see if Trump gets elected again, if any of that kind of air of mystery, if any of those mysteries sort of get answered later on. It's possible. I don't know. It's not as cut and dry as it seemed to me in the beginning.
Right. And also, this guy suffers from being a prominent, a leader really of the Proud Boys. So if you're one of the, the tip of the spear, as they like to say, you're going to get punished more harshly.
That's they're going to come down on him. Yeah. I mean, and also I understand why the government has to do that. They have to make an example out of him because they cannot tolerate that type of behavior from their citizens. However, we're also living in a time, and I'm just pointing this out because people see this stuff and they kind of scratch their head. We're also living in a time where we're seeing violent criminals released without bail. And so to kill again and to commit crimes and hurt people. There's one guy they let out of jail, 3 times, and then he ended up killing the neighbor. It's just, we're seeing it. We're seeing Gascon's policies. We're seeing New York's no bail policies causing all kinds of social detriment and making residents live in fear. And so when you see that, and then this guy gets 17 years rather, and he didn't murder anybody. I'm not saying I agree with him. I'm just saying like as the public kind of puts this all into their head into place, and they kind of, if you lean right, you kind of go, there's something off with our judicial system a little bit,
That may be true. I think ultimately though, the other thing is there's not a large enough majority of people who think, hey, it was unfair to try. I bet there's a lot of people out there that are like, yeah, you know what? You stormed the Capitol, sedition.
Yeah.
We don't care about, your need. We don't care that you want to be with your daughter or whatever. Like, you made your bed, you got to lie in it.
Yeah.
Even if there might even be Trump supporters. I'm sure there are people that supported Trump and his policies and might even vote for him again, who would look at this and be like, that was
I mean, I lean right. I'm supporting Trump. I think he's the best candidate right now for where we are as a nation and the direction we've gone. I mean, I look at things. I'm a results guy. Like I want to see the results. I don't see anything positive that's happened really from this administration financially, our border. We're in a war. It's just, there's just, the list goes on and on and on. We don't have an energy independence. I don't really, I've not seen anything that stands out to me where I go, wow, this has been so much better. But But guys like this that are sort of, capable of, trying to overthrow the government, things like that, and organizing things like that. I don't agree with that stuff, and I'm not on board with that. And so I'm probably one of those ones that supports Trump and I have a lot of liberal views, but I have a lot of right-wing views too, and I don't support this type of behavior on both sides. We saw some evidence of this when Trump was elected. We saw a lot of rioting and carrying on and chaos that happened when he was elected as well. I mean, they didn't storm the Capitol, but we saw rioting and we saw a lot of destruction and chaos, and people were killed when Trump was elected. There's a famous meme of the person in the street screaming, carrying on. I mean, there was a lot of that. So
doesn't this guy kind of look like David Cross, the comedian?
Fat David Cross, yeah.
Yeah. Like, look at that. That's David Cross. Similar look.
It does. David Cross could play him on a skit.
You know what's funny is David Cross was on the HBO show Mr. Show back in the 90s.
Love that show.
And there was actually a guy who was on Mr. Show who was at the Capitol. I forget his name, but he was at the Capitol. He's probably facing charges too. So, they brought people together from different walks of life.
I mean, look, I just want to point something out too here. The gist of what people were upset about was they felt that the election, there was some unfair elements to the election. It was not a fair election. There was that people on the left pulled some shyster moves to help to put Biden in office. That's the argument, right? And in the beginning, it was like, well, those people are crazy and they're nuts and it's not based on anything and they're making it all up in their head and Biden won fair and square and da-da-da-da-da. And that's what we were told. But now we're starting to find out that Facebook, under the direction of the FBI, hid the Hunter Biden story, which absolutely affected how people were going to vote. We're also finding out that there was a lot of stories and things that were on Facebook that some were pushed to some people and some of the stories were hidden or blocked. There was absolutely stories blocked on Twitter. We're finding that out as well. So I don't know how you quantify that data to figure out how many people's votes were changed by that. But the fact that even possibly one vote could have been changed by that means that they were not entirely wrong that there was election interference from the left. And they're not entirely unjustified in being frustrated and flipping out and being angry about that. So the fact that we were told that this was all a conspiracy theory and that people were crazy to think that, and now we're starting to find out that lo and behold, they were not that crazy and there wasn't some type of interference. Trump has a point, and he is right about that. I'm not talking about messing with the election machines. I'm not talking about with fake paper ballots and all that stuff. That we could find out maybe down the road. Maybe we're not going to find anything out about that at all. I'm talking about election interference that came from blocking stories so people were not educated. That also is election interference in itself.
Yeah, no, I agree that there does need to be an investigation into the Hunter Biden laptop and how that was handled. And also the 51 former intelligence officials who signed a letter saying that there was Russian disinformation. I mean, you can't
when they knew it wasn't
either.
Not
when
only
they knew it wasn't.
When they knew it wasn't. So that is the definition of election interference. Absolutely. So these people were not that crazy to be upset. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying I agree with what they did. I'm not saying that I condone violence and that type of behavior. I'm just saying that they were not entirely wrong in their frustrations.
Yeah. So let's switch it up a little bit now. I want to talk about Tiffany Gomas, Mrs. That Mother Effer is Not Real.
Oh my God. Marketing genius.
Marketing genius. She's definitely utilizing her marketing.
I called it from day one that she's a yeah.
She, first of all, she had a nice time here in LA. She showed up. She was interviewed at the airport. She still didn't tell us what she was looking at. Then she went to Dodger Stadium.
Where'd she go to dinner? At Craig's?
We don't know. I haven't heard anything about her showing up at dinner anywhere. She did take a picture with a t-shirt that she's selling to raise money for the Maui wildfires.
Okay.
Playing it smart, making herself appear charitable. As I said, she was at the Dodger Stadium. It seems like the Dodgers may have invited her or something, because she's like, oh, thank you, Dodger Stadium. Great night. We were on the Jumbotron and had a good time. And then today she flew out. And of course, another camera guy got her at the airport leaving. Let's watch that video real quick.
I bet I know who it is.
She avoids. We know who it is. I don't know if he wants to be named, so we will leave him unnamed.
He shall be unnamed.
Let's watch here she is handling that.
Hey Tiffany, how are you? How was LA? Nice. And light.
Texas, that's for sure.
What's that?
We live in Texas.
Is it?
Template.
Warmer. All right. Would you ever consider moving here? You guys went to the Dodger game last night. How was that?
Great.
It's fun.
Great pot of ball.
Nice. How about, huh? Do you have it with you?
I do like that she traveled this time not in costume. When she came into town, she was wearing the exact same hairstyle, the exact same clothing as the first time. And I was disappointed that the camera guy who got her coming into LA didn't at least ask, did anyone recognize you? Did anyone have a panic attack when they saw you sitting on the plane and thought, oh my God, like, am I hallucinating? What's about to happen here? None of those questions were asked.
We're critiquing Charlie, dude. I don't blame you, bro. I was wondering the same thing.
Well, it was Jake, but yeah.
Oh, it's Jake. It was Jake. It was Jake? I thought it was Charlie.
Yeah, but he did ask. He did try to get the answer out. What did you see? And
that's the question that we really care about.
Yeah, that's the question that she's not revealing, and she does not reveal it again here either.
Not them, our other friend.
Oh. All right, Tiffany. I know the last time we saw you, you wouldn't really elaborate on what it is that you saw. Listen, let's just put it to bed once and for all. Can you give us a hint, clue, something, anything? We'll stop asking if we kind of. You good? All right.
I like how she's like annoyed by the question. Like, dude, the only reason you're even famous is because you said something wasn't real and you don't talk about what it was.
Yeah, this tells me that this is all. This just reeks to me like it did from day one, and now it reeks even more of some kind of she's hiding the real answer because it's marketing. She's
going to sell it. You're going to have to sign up for something to get that answer.
This whole thing is just a scam, dude. I'm not falling for it. It reeks like a market. It's a marketing plan of some sort. It's something going on here. I don't like it. This does not pass the sniff test for me.
I wish that this camera guy, instead of being like, hey, would you mind giving us a hint? Could we put it to bed? No, just be straight up. Was it a reptile? Was it a shapeshifter? Because that's what the internet believes. It was a shape-shifting reptilian.
I want to ask her that. My question to her would be, why won't you tell us? Why won't you tell us what you saw? What are you hiding? Why won't you tell us?
In the first interview, she's like, "Oh, I've been told not to speak about it." Well, who's telling you not to speak about it?
Yeah, who's telling
CIA or is it your team? Okay, there's a big difference.
Your marketing team.
Yeah. So she leaves town.
I'm thumbs down.
So look, what's next for you, Tiffany? After your trip back home, but what's next for you otherwise? We'll see. Thanks. You too. Thanks. You got it. Oh, got to show the boarding pass.
We just have a reason why she's trying to, if you can notice.
I think that this camera guy made her more uncomfortable than the shape-shifting reptilian. It was uneasy.
It was a little bit. There's some nervous energy there, that's for sure.
I wonder.
Sometimes you get excited when we see people. We want to get all the questions out. I have experienced that sometimes. You have too. Sometimes you see them and you have a way in your head. In your head it's going to go one way, and then they don't answer the way you think they're going to answer, and you're thrown off, and you get a little nervous, and that happens sometimes. But this guy's
a freelancer though. He can ask whatever he wants.
That's true. That's true. We would get scolded if we asked the wrong thing or didn't ask the right thing, or
Yeah, I give the TMZ guy.
He didn't give me the answer we wanted, so you're in trouble.
The TMZ guy gets a little more leeway from me because I know that like you have a certain question that you probably need to ask. This guy could have just asked any crazy way of he could have phrased the question any crazy way he wanted to. She's now going home back to Dallas. Who knows? I mean, I don't know how much longer she thinks we're going to drag this out. People will lose interest in the answer.
Nobody's going to give a shit.
Maybe she was in town to meet with an agency or something. I don't know what she's got.
Something's brewing. OnlyFans or something. She's doing something.
Well, I guess that she was going to be, if not a life coach, like an empowerment influencer or something. Because her first posts on Instagram are all about empowerment and, you know, overcoming your mistakes and all that kind of stuff. Like she's going to be teaching a course or something, like a self-help thing.
Like that blonde shaved head woman, Susan Powder. Remember her?
Kind of. Who is she?
I mean, what if she does an OnlyFans and like the first person she has sex with is like an alien?
Well, that if she could pull that off, that's how we're going to get disclosure.
Would you watch that? Would you subscribe?
I would wait till someone leaked it. I would not be a subscriber. I think she's got enough money from her marketing career that she doesn't need to do that, but she's definitely figuring out a way to monetize this.
It's hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions from that. She's not making that in marketing.
Well, that's true.
The OnlyFans deal, maybe she was meeting with Vivid.
Could be. Steve Hirsch. You ever interview that guy?
Never.
Oh, man. I had to go interview him once when Farrah Abraham was signing her deal.
Oh, yeah.
Like 10 years ago.
I ain't never heard her. I interviewed her a million times, but.
Yeah. It was a little slimy.
A
little reptilian.
I mean, the whole TV business is slimy. Let's be real.
Yeah.
We were all slimy.
You slimy
I'm still
bastard.
slimy. I'm still slimy.
Hey, if you ever wanted to know what Elvis Presley would look like if he was still alive, AI has given you the answer. And it's Johnny Knoxville. He would look like an old Johnny Knoxville.
Dude, you know what that looks like? That looks like a guy that like starts talking in a bar that you don't want to talk to.
Yeah.
And he tells you that people tell him that he looks like Elvis.
Right.
And then you're like, okay, buddy. He doesn't even look like an Elvis impersonator. That's how bad.
Yeah, exactly. He looks like, I don't know, like George H.W. Bush or something if he tried to dress up as Elvis for Halloween. It's really bad. This is a horrible advertisement for OpenAI's DALL-E image simulator. Like Mid-Journey is blowing these guys out of the water. If this is the best they can do for Elvis, it looks nothing like Elvis Presley at all. That one a little bit has the jowls, but like, come on, dude. That's not Elvis. No. And what the hell is that? That looks like like Jerry Lee Lewis or something.
I don't know what that looks like.
Jesus Christ.
That's bad, dude. And why would he still have the hair like that? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I look more like Elvis than that guy.
Yeah. This is really bad. This look,
I'm trying to remember at all.
Who does this look like? It looks like some old comedian or something. Is it Jackie Mason?
No, it looks like one of those religious preachers.
Yeah.
Like one of those evangelists, like, and the Lord, you cannot petition the Lord with prayer.
Exactly. Jim Morrison. Yeah, so that's it. That's just a little quick Elvis thing. Some good news here, I guess. Yeah. Madonna was seen biking around in New York City. You know, she had a health scare. Apparently she almost died.
Yeah.
Oh shit, let me get that up. She had to cancel her tour or postpone it. Was very worried about her, but here she is biking around New York City, pumping those legs.
Oh yeah. How's her face look?
I think she'll have to work.
You ready for tour, Madonna?
Okay,
you ready for tour, Madonna?
Great question. Yeah, I don't think she has time to worry about her face right now. I think First, get your health back in order, and then do something about the face. You know, we don't know if doing too much work on the face is what got her into this mess in the first place.
We don't know. We don't know. It's a mystery.
But I'm glad to see her back up on her feet. She's too young. She's only 64. Too young to be going out like that.
The material girl, dude.
Hopefully she'll be able to get, you know, back into touring shape and give everyone a successful tour. She deserves to have her 40-year anniversary tour. I mean, look, she's a major. We had this discussion before whether she's on the Mount Rushmore of entertainers or not, but like she's a major icon.
Yeah, she's on there.
The word iconic is thrown around a lot these days. They throw it around about people like Selena Gomez, and it's inaccurate. But for this, I would agree.
No, for her, come on. She's put her time in. She's put her time in for sure. She's been around. She's reinvented herself.
Yeah.
And she's a fashion icon and also a champion of the LGBTQ plus whatever letter we have now on their community. And that was important. She was doing that back when really nobody was. There was a lot of people that were sort of afraid to speak up or stand up for that community.
Yeah.
And she wasn't, and she stood up for them. And that's really important that she did that.
Definitely. Yeah. She deserves to be lauded for that work.
Yes, she does. I will laud her.
Louder.
Loud.
All right. Well, I think that's about it for us today. Unless there was something that you wanted to talk about.
Oh, it's Labor Day weekend.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know. What does that mean? We're not supposed to really labor, dude.
That's true.
Shouldn't labor this weekend, bro. So make sure you drink some ice cold beers, hang out at the beach, have a good time, stay cool. Enjoy.
Will they be striking this weekend?
No.
And on Monday?
No, we're not going to strike tomorrow. We're not going to strike on Monday. So I'm San Diego bound, my friend.
Seems like a missed opportunity. Like you should strike on Labor Day. Isn't there like a promotional tie-in there?
The problem is that if people are going out of town and then the numbers are small, then it looks weak and it looks like nobody cares. So it's a visual thing too.
Gotcha. They got to take a vacation. I hear.
And it's organized by the guild head, and so they're on vacation. So,
gotcha. Let's see that shirt one more time. Show us the shirt one more time.
We're in a long fight, babe. We're out here to, And speaking of which, I mean, they're talking about now about digitizing. I mean, look what we just Look how they doctored Elvis, dude. You want them to doctor you? Imagine what would happen if they try to digitize you right now, dude.
It's true. You know what? You should bring those pictures to the strike and be like, this is what they want for the future of entertainment. No way.
Yeah. They offered $100 to digitize you.
Yeah. Hilarious. All right. Well, good stuff. Everybody subscribe to the YouTube, turn on the notifications so you know when we're live. Subscribe to clickpop.substack.com. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at clickpop2 and on TikTok at clickpop0. Pop. Try to remember all that.
Pop.
Good stuff. Any last words?
Enjoy your holiday weekend, everybody.
Wonderful. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on the